My journey with CDD started some 25 years ago, right at the beginning of when it was established. I was on the first board. I had gotten to know some of the founding directors, Professor Jima Buedi, Professor Bafu Ajimandria, as colleagues who I had encountered at the first think tank in Ghana, which was IEA. And I've watched CDD just grow over the years in stature, in influence, in terms of staffing. There were just a few staff members, a few programs, but a clear vision and mission to intervene in the governance space, to help to contribute in the deepening of our new democracy. Today, I would say CDD is considered as the foremost think tank on governance issues in Ghana. There are others, even the ones that may have been founded just around the time of CDD or perhaps earlier, are not as prominent as CDD is now, and I'm very proud of that. CDD has really been at the forefront of many governance issues. One of the clearest ways in which CDD started to intervene right from the beginning is to make sure that there would be quality electoral democracy, which meant that we needed to keep an eye on elections and the quality of elections. And of course, one of the most significant contributions of CDD in that space, amongst many contributions, is the setting up of CODEO. It's a coalition of domestic election observers headed by two eminent Ghanaians at the beginning, Justice VCRAC Crab and Professor Miranda Greenstreet. And they have been able to preside and chair over CODEO in a very credible manner. It's hard to imagine elections today in Ghana without CODEO. Everybody has come to expect that CODEO will be there to observe the elections, to pronounce on it. Then, of course, Afrobarometer has been a major contribution derived from CDD. There'd be no Afrobarometer if there'd been no CDD-Ghana. An Afrobarometer, as you know, is a public opinion polling instrument where it takes the pulse of ordinary people around Africa. Some 38 countries already and growing, aiming for 40 countries, where it takes the pulse of ordinary people on issues that matter to them, service provision, governance issues. And in that way, it informs public policy. But it's also a very important data set for researchers and academics who are writing on issues relating to governance and service provision. So we can't overemphasize the importance of Afrobarometer. One of the things that CDD did in the beginning, it sort of discontinued it, but plans to come back to it, is Democracy Watch. And Democracy Watch was a regular publication that functioned as a space for thought pieces on issues on democracy that were happening. It allowed CDD also to flag governance misbehaviors as well. CDD sends election observers or expertise to other African countries or who need help with their elections. West Africa Democracy Solidarity Network, WADEMOS, is another example of the kinds of coalitions that CDD builds, not just locally, but on the continent, because WADEMOS is West Africa, bringing together different organizations to work on issues relating to democracy. And so in that sense, when you build coalitions, you join up actions, it's much more powerful, it has much more influence, it brings about, the possibilities that it will bring about change are even greater. Corruption Watch is another example of a CDD-led initiative in conjunction with GII that kept an eye on corruption and reported on corruption. But there's a lot of other advocacy issues. For example, CDD was influential in strengthening the position of the Auditor General and continues to advocate for independence of the Auditor General so that power can be held accountable. That's very important in a democracy. The center has not been without some controversy, particularly when research comes out that upsets certain institutions, certain political parties. They tend to pronounce a fatwa on us. But I always say that I'm proud that when they are not bearing the brunt of the research, they like to quote CDD. Part of the reason that can happen is that CDD remains non-partisan, non-biased, and tries as much as possible to be inclusive in all of its programs, no matter what. There's a very strong ethos of integrity that guides CDD. It's important that CDD remains credible, and I think is so far so good. I think when you ask the public, not only is CDD known and visible, but there's a recognition of what it contributes to the governance landscape, and there's a recognition that it is a credible, non-governmental institution. CDD has come a long, long way this past 25 years. Our footprints are felt all over the country. We have an office in the northern region, but we have operations in many more regions across Ghana. As we journey on, I'd like CDD to continue being true to its mission. That mission is to deepen democratic consolidation in Ghana. The mission also is to ensure that we have good governance in the country. And importantly also, we should have inclusive growth in our development. We need to pay attention to the marginalized people in this country. Make sure that their rights are protected, their voices are heard, and their situations are made much better. And so we need strong institutions like CDD to ensure that we keep the pressure on duty bearers to do the right thing, because democracy, as we can see, is fragile. And in order that we make sure that we don't go back to the dark old days, we will need to be sure that CDD continues informing, educating, advocating in the governance and democracy space. Civil society is indispensable in any democratic arrangement, but particularly in the developing nation context, we need civil society organizations. Looking forward in 25 years, I wouldn't say I want to see more civil society organizations, because quantity is not always quality. It will be important for us to be able to grow relevant, strong civil society organizations that can elicit responsiveness from governments, from duty bearers. That's really important. We can try and hold people accountable, and you can do it, but it matters more that you are able to do it in ways that get them to respond appropriately, so that ultimately we bring about change. One of the things that I've been most proud of is to see the staff at CDD grow, not just in numbers. There were just a few people when CDD started. Now the staffing situation is 50 plus people, some of them not located in Accra, but also to see the value that is added once they join CDD. Over these 25 years, I think CDD has demonstrated its worth. We've been able to identify and work with integrity with many donors, many stakeholders. We've come to be trusted. We intend to continue to work with all of our donors and stakeholders, and to make sure that our relationship with them is mutually beneficial. It's important that people have experiences with CDD that they find positive, and that keeps them coming back to work with us. I trust that that's the situation right now, and 25 years more down the line, that would be the situation. I'd like to wish CDD a happy silver anniversary. 25 years is short, but it's also long in the lifespan of an organization. It's a significant milestone that I pray we will continue to add to in the coming years. Good luck and God bless.